I'm going to just say a couple things. We've had the good fortune to have the Attorney General on campus once before, and you're always welcome. She also came to Trade Tech to put a program together called Back on Track. It's a program that she did when she was the district attorney up in San Francisco, working on getting individuals, while they were in custody, getting an education. And so they've actually have folks from our construction maintenance utilities program that have been teaching up at Wayside at Peter Pinch's Honor Rancho. We have a whole construction tech program for folks that then when they're able to leave custody, you actually have a number of them that are here in our program to connect up to the world of work. We have, as you know, a huge construction maintenance utilities program. But one of the things that she's most passionate about is this work that you're going to see today, which is to let people know that they don't need to go to the for-profit proprietary schools. And if they do, what is likely to happen. She ended up suing Corinthian College to bring some of this stuff out in the open back in 2013. She's been doing an investigation of a number of the other campuses that are out there. But we have students here from Wyotech, from UTI, from ITT, from Everest, from Bryman, right? We have from Fidham, from a bunch of different schools. So we're one of the few campuses that have a pretty good perspective on, in fact, how this system sort of functions. But I think what we really need to do is hear first from the Attorney General and then hear some of the stories from your fellow students. So Attorney General Kamala Harris, welcome.
Thank you, Larry. LA Trade Tech really is one of the jewels of the education system in California. It's one of the jewels. Our community college system as a whole is one of the best educational systems in the country. And we're here today then to honor that tradition, the tradition of LA Trade Tech and the tradition of California community colleges. And we're also here to tell some stories, to let the folks who are listening who aren't in this room know about what they deserve in terms of their right to have an education, all in pursuit of what we know we all believe is possible in the context of the American dream. So that's what we're doing today. So, I'll say the partnership with LA Trade Tech around our Back on Track initiative. So I started this initiative years ago when I was DA of San Francisco, and now as your Attorney General, I'm standing before you as the top cop of the biggest state in this country. And we started a partnership with LA Trade Tech because we created an initiative to get in-custody folks education and job skills. Why? Some people looked at me and said, you're the top law enforcement officer. Why are you so concerned with giving former offenders jobs and counseling? And I said, it's really simple. We need to be smart on crime. Okay, so here's what I'm talking about. In criminal justice policy, I think we've been offered a false choice. It suggests you're either soft on crime or you're tough on crime. So that's when we're smart on crime, right? The public health model has taught us well. You want to deal with an epidemic, if it's health or crime, smartest, most effective, and cheapest way to deal with it is prevention first. If we're dealing with an emergency room or the prison system, it is too late and too expensive. We need to be smart on crime. So knowing that and knowing we needed to bring education and support and job skills training to the folks that we're targeting who are in custody currently, LA Trade Tech was the perfect partner, which understood the thing that we also know. We always have to understand that the human capacity is profound. We always have to know that even though somebody had made a mistake or committed a crime, once they've paid their consequence, it's the sign of a civil society that we allow them the ability to earn their way back and Giving them an education is the most important way we can do that. That's why we're partnering with you in terms of what we're doing with Back on Track. Also, LA Trade Tech is about doing what we know we need to do as a country, which is invest in higher education in a way that our motive is purely the education of young people, not profit. The motive is the education of young people, not profit. So, you heard him mention that we sued Corinthian colleges. I'm going to tell you why. Because this was a predatory, for-profit college system where people who were calling themselves academic advisors were just trumped-up salespeople trying to cut a deal. And what ended up happening throughout this country is a bunch of young people who simply wanted to improve their lives, simply wanted to achieve their dreams, simply wanted to raise their babies in a way that they could have opportunities, were duped into a college situation where they were not getting an education that would help them get a job, and where they ended up being consumed by debt. So we took them on and we sued them. And my office has opened up an industry-wide investigation into what's going on with the private colleges in this country for that very reason. So there is that. And what we were talking about before we came out with the folks at this table is that it is so important that we tell the stories of those students who have had these experiences. And part of what we were talking about earlier is the reason why. So part of the targeting that these for-profit, the predatory for-profit colleges do, is they target people who they believe are desperate, who want an education so badly they'll do anything to get it. They target people who they believe have no other options, right? They target people who, in many cases, they think they just feel they're the only one like them, where they feel like they're all alone. And that's who ends up often being the ones who are the victim of that predatory practice. Well, what's the best thing that we can do when people feel that they're all alone or they're isolated? It's to remind them they're not alone. It's to remind them that they matter to us and we see them and we want to support them and give them voice. So what we're doing this morning is, as much as anything, that. Reminding all the folks who are going to know that we were all here today, that we are all together in wanting to give them support and give them voice, and also let them know they have options. It's like coming to LA Trade Tech. So that's what this morning is about. Telling the stories and empowering people to know that they have options, and empowering people to know that when people treat them like prey and engage in predatory conduct, there will be consequence and accountability. So that's part of what we're doing. And also what we're talking about today is understanding that these things have happened. The next question for all of us as leaders, because if anybody is right here, right now, you are a leader. The question is, okay, and how are we going to prevent this from happening in the future? We know what was wrong, so we can talk about how it was broken and what the broken system looks like. But let's not end the conversation there. Let's also talk about what the solution looks like. How do we fix it? So part of why we are here today is because we have set up a number of proposals for how we need to restructure the system in our country. And so you all will get a copy of it, but essentially it's this. I believe that one of the things that has to happen more is there has to be greater accountability and oversight of for-profit colleges, right? We all are held accountable. Everybody should be held accountable, which means we need to be watching and then hold them accountable when it's not happening. So specifically, you're like, Kamala, well, what exactly are you talking about? And I agree with the concept, but what does that look like? So here's specifically what I propose. We need to put pressure on the federal government in terms of the federal agencies that have an ability and a responsibility to engage in greater oversight of these for-profit colleges, and in particular the Federal Department of Education and the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. That's part of what we're talking about today. Congress has the ability to hold hearings, Congress has the ability to ask that people show their performance when they're getting federal dollars to do their jobs, because that's part of the deal, right? The for-profit colleges are getting federal dollars. That's our taxpayer dollars. I want to know where my taxpayer dollars are going. So this is about accountability and oversight. Next, to fix the system, we have got to create a college system and a community college system that is affordable to the average student. So part of what I'm proposing is that college will be free for any student who comes from a household that has $140,000 or less in annual income. And that community college is free for everyone. So that's part of what we're proposing. Also, we need to understand that, some people will say, well, how are you going to pay for all this, right? That's going to cost a lot. Well, first of all, let's get our head on straight. It's not about a cost. It's about investment. It's about investing in our young people, investing in our folks who want to improve themselves and improve their families and improve their communities. That's an investment. It'll pay returns for all of us. So let's get our head on straight about that. And then also, let's talk about specifics in terms of what else can happen. I strongly believe that the federal government should have a responsibility for creating greater incentives for states to put in more investment in their community college systems. LA Trade Tech is making it work. But our community colleges across the board need greater investment. And so that's part of it. Greater investment around not only what they can do to have more chairs in the classroom for all the students that want to fill them, but also investment in making sure that the curriculum will meet the requirements of the jobs of the 21st century. So we're talking about very, very specific points there. And it's about also doing what we know happens with community colleges. Again, it's part of the beauty, a jewel of California government, that years back we created the system and put a lot of resources into it. Because we also understood it's a pipeline. For some folks, it'll be that 2-year education that gets them the entry-level job that allows them so many possibilities. For others, it'll be that place they can go from high school before they then try and enter the UC system or the Cal State system. It creates such incredible opportunities for our young people. We need to invest more in our community colleges. And so finally, I'll say this. I believe that every great person who has ever claimed any role of leadership or importance in our country has a couple of things, but one thing in particular to attribute that to. And that's that they had the benefit of a great education. And let's be clear about something. An education is about just helping to tap into the brilliance of the brains that already exist. Beautiful, brilliant brains that have dreams and ambitions, but need to have the resources to cultivate all that into the next place. This is about understanding the potential of our communities and our country. It's about understanding that all those people who sign up for those programs, God love them, because they are smart. They understand what the road to achieving the American dream looks like. As much as anything, it's about getting a quality education. So I thank everybody for being here. Let's start with our panel and our discussion, and I'll turn it over to Larry to moderate.
So, thank you very much, Harris. So So we have a frame, and now come the stories. So we're going to do it in the order. Willie Gomez is going to be first up. Give us a little understanding of what happened to you.
All right, like I said, my name is Willie Gomez. When I got out of high school, I didn't know exactly what to do. I was working, valet. I was working at Ralph's, working at Whole Foods, doing chef. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, but I knew that I needed education. So I believe, like she said, I was preyed on by one of my family members' husbands who worked for Brian. He seen me that I was desperate on getting an education and doing something with my life instead of just moving cars and working that day and getting that quick money. So he sucked me into his office and he painted me the most beautiful picture in the world. Um, he promised me that I was going to have everything till my ability to be able to help my family, get a house, get a better job, get a better car, everything. Everything was just so perfect. So I sat down one day with him and we signed some papers so I could join the class, not knowing that after my 8 months of doing my class and my courses, I was going to have to pay back a $12,000 loan. $12,000 loan compared to other people out there is a little bit, but it also takes away from you being able to provide for your family. That's a house, that's a new car, that's a lot of possibilities with that money. So, come to find out, Bryan College was doing fraud, and they ended up changing the name to Everest College to avoid anything, and I kept going into job interviews and showing my certification of bidding and coding, and every time they looked at my resume, they seen Bryan, and they completely wrote me off. They didn't want to give me an opportunity. They didn't want to even deal with me because they knew that I went to that school and that school was not worth it. So, they said they'll call me back, and then I kept going back to Bryan to get some help, and was completely ignored. They said that they faxed my resume out, and that happened for months and months, and turned into years until I finally decided I need to go back to the school and see what's going on, talk to the president, talk to somebody. And I walked to the school and it was shut down. Mm-hmm. So that's it. There was no contact, there's no email, there's nobody there that I could talk to. There was nobody. I still do until today when I have the opportunity for somebody to actually hear my story. I said it to my family like millions of times, but to really express it and be able to even help anybody out there, your nephews, your brothers, your cousins, anybody that wants to go to and get a quick education, that was my lesson that I learned. Don't cut your education short. If you want to come get an education, trade tech, man, nothing but good things. I completely regret doing that, but I also accept it and learn from it. And whatever I can do to talk to anybody or help anybody on the metro, or anybody needs some guidance, I'll take them to admissions and sign them up. Show them financial aid if they need help with books or whatever I can do, because the schools out there, they have one goal in mind, is to get their money. Their education is the last thing they're worried about. Your education, is the last thing they're worried about. They're worried about getting the money, they're meeting their quota, and doing what they have to do. So, but lesson learned, trade tech is a place to be. And I'm not just saying that because I'm up here, saying that because I've been working a full-time job, working my part-time, and still coming to school since 2010. And honestly, I'm almost done, and I feel good that I'm transferring to Cal State Dominguez Hills, and it's all because of trade tech. No credit goes out to Bryan, no credit goes out to Everest, or that piece of paper that they said was going to give me that beautiful picture I wanted. So my advice to you, if you know anybody, if you know anybody that wants to, that quick school, that quick knowledge, help them out. Bring them to admissions. Have them talk to a counselor, professor, anybody, because they will realize that this is the place to be. So that's my story.
Thank you very much, Billy. I'll start off by apologizing. I am not Dr. Frank. He had to leave. I'm one of the deans here on campus, so I'll take the opportunity to be the moderator from this point forward. So to go right into the next speaker we had was Estefina Hernandez, who's a former student from FIDA.
Hi, good morning, everyone. So I am an alumni of FIDA, so I graduated. But little did I know I graduated with $25,000 in student debt that I have not paid off because I have currently been deferring them by continuing school. So my story is, I graduated from high school and I was recommended to FIDA because I had a passion for fashion. I subscribed, I got my, the packet, I got a call from an academic advisor. I went in with my mom, and as Willie said, they painted me the most awesome picture ever. They told me that, my career goal at the time was to become a designer. So they told me, oh yeah, you can become a designer, do your sketches. I turned in, according to them, some kind of work, and they made it sound like I was going to be getting accepted, not necessarily being enrolled. They made themselves sound like they were a prestigious school because of different celebrities that went there, like Lauren Conrad, and I can't remember others, but I know, celebrities went there. So they really preyed on that. I went for the 2 years. Little did I know that I was signing student loan paperwork until the end when they required us to take some kind of class. Very brief, scarce information about what will happen to your interest rate, to your credit. They just preyed on young 18-year-olds who had a desire to go into the industry. I graduated, tried to apply for jobs. The only jobs I qualified for were data entry clerk jobs. And for a $25,000 tuition, that wasn't going to cover that. I have a family now that I can't find work because from having my family to trying to find work, it's hard. And Twitter says they have the resources, but they make it very hard, and the only positions that they have available are assistant jobs. They don't have the jobs that they promised in the beginning, which were, to become a head designer or a product developer. You have to work yourself up the ladder. And another thing I didn't know about FIDM was their quarter system. They don't work on units like community colleges. So after I graduated FIDM, I can't attend a Cal State because they make it so hard to be able to transfer your units. And actually the classes that you take there sometimes aren't transferable. So you have to retake these courses again in community college, which I'm currently doing here at LA Trade Tech. And actually my mother attended LA Trade Tech, and she highly recommends it, and just like her daughter, I highly recommend it too. Anybody who is thinking of going to FIDM, I don't recommend it, because you can get the same exact education here, and even more because of the resources that LA Trade Tech offers than going to FIDM, because they really don't have that many resources to help the low-income community. It's all about money, and they got me. They got me. They painted a really grand, wonderful picture. That's my story.
Thank you very much, Estefina. Next up, we will have Carol Anderson, a professor of fashion and media arts here at LA Trade Tech.
So first off, Estefina, I'm so sorry that you went to FIDM first. We see students come in our door. Tessie's in the back there somewhere. Where are you, Tessie? Wave your hand. Oh, there she is. So we see students come in every summer, every winter. They come in with their moms, and They've seen what it was with the OC, was that what it was on when they would have fit in? So they see how beautiful the white chase lounges and all that kind of stuff. Then they come to trade. And trade is real. It's like real life. It's what you're going to see in the industry. So, the little girls are like, they want the white, they want that white chase lounge. And the moms are kind of scratching their heads, and $25,000, I think that's kind of a bargain, because actually I see people coming out of there with $50,000, $60,000 in debt. So what I tell them real honestly, is I say, you know what? I said, how about we do this? How about you try trade tech for one semester? If you feel like you're not getting what you need at trade tech, then go down to FINM. But not necessarily. So I'm here to tell you stories. So there was another graduate from FINM. She had gone through the product development program. And for my grading students that are in the room, everybody who hates grading, this girl came back to take grading because she didn't feel that FINM gave her what she needed there. So she took my class. She only came for that one class. By the time she saw what was going on around her, she actually went through the entire program over again. So here she was with that huge net, and still she came to trade so that she'd be able to go out and get the skills that she needed to do the job. The other thing that we see that happens at FINM that we absolutely can't compete with here at Trade Tech, and that is their huge advertising budget. They're in every high school, every month, promoting their programs. We just can't do that. There's no way that we can compete with something like that. Fortunately for us, we have fantastic word of mouth. People in the industry knows about Trade Tech and what we offer here, but we can't compete with what they do. So for all of you that are here that have friends out there, I want you to tell your friends about Los Angeles' College Promise. College Promise means that if they come out of an LA Unified High School, that they can come and enroll in any of the community colleges, but for those that are interested in fashion and design and media arts, specifically here at LA Trade Tech, for 1 year free tuition. This is something new for them, right? So let them know. They don't know yet, but that's a possibility. And the other thing that I really want you to know is there is a move afoot here at Trade Tech, and it's called PACS. Pathway for Career, Pathway for Academic, Career, and Transfer Success. So in that, we have gone into our pathways of programs that are related to one another and brought them together. They have their own counselors who always have the same story. It's not a predatory story. It's all about what they can expect. And the students know from me, by the way, they say, Ms. Anderson, how much money am I going to make when I go to work? I said, how much is minimum wage today? So there's no blowing things out of proportion. But in PACS, we're also coming up with strategies for the students, and instead of grabbing all of their financial aid, we make sure that they're using their financial aid wisely so that they have that money to move on if they want to transfer on to the four-year institutions. So you may see a graduate of Trade Tech, or not Trade Tech, a graduate of FINM or whatever, a teacher at FINM that's on Project Runway, yeah, whatever. That's all I can say is whatever. And you know what, Lauren Conrad, well, Rick Owens is ours, and Takashi is ours, and Carol Little is ours. So we have the same number of people out there. The bottom line is, we're the best kept, LA Trade Tech is still the best kept secret in Los Angeles. So, but for the grace of God that Obama's been here twice, you've been here a couple times, Hillary's been here, Bill was here last year. All of us, all that being said, hopefully Trade Tech won't remain the best kept secret in Los Angeles.
So one of my intentions is to head the outreach things and strategies here at the college, but I think I should just have Carol do all of that because, quite honestly, that is what we need for people that have graduated from the LACCD system to understand that you're getting the best bargain for your dollar and you're just as good as anybody that's graduated from anywhere else. So, better. See, this is why I'm not doing this. But right on next, I'll pass this along to Carlos Rojas, who's a professor of transportation technology, specifically in diesel here at LA Trade Tech.
Thank you. I'm a graduate from Trade Tech, and my story, my parents were immigrants. They came to the United States. They didn't have to speak a word of English, but I wanted to pursue a career in a field that I could use anywhere around the world. So I chose the trade of automotive. And for me, it was a big thing because my dad tinkered around with cars and didn't know nothing. So he made me a great parts changer. Parts changers don't make money. Parts changers, just make a lot of bad noise. And they people bad images. So I decided that I wanted to get an education and I needed to come to a place. And a friend that we used to take our cars to, we were the mechanics. We took our cars that we couldn't fix to this guy. And he told me, I asked him, where did you get your education? And he said, trade tech. So not secrets. Some people know. And I had an opportunity to talk to him, and as soon as I graduated high school, I came down here and applied, got a great education. Ended up coming straight out of school to apply for LA Metro. I worked in the transportation industry for 32 years, and I saw, being involved in construction for the last 25 years, I saw a lot of people coming from the industry without the skills that they said they had. You see all this great advertising about all these trucks and all these cars. You can work on hot rods, you can work on, all these things that turn us on and get us all excited. But the bottom line is, when you put them to do the job, they can't do it. And at Metro, I had a lot of chances. People take a test, they get the test, but they can't do the work. And I was always frustrated with that. And I had to come back and teach them, and spend hours and months and years teaching them how to develop it. I had a chance to come back here and teach students. And my job here is to get all these people that want to get in this industry and teach them and show them the best opportunities out there. With the kind of chances you have here in education, it's like ridiculous. Why wouldn't you want to make a six-figure income in this industry by putting in 2 years and get an education? It's very possible. It's doable. I did it. So I'm not talking from advertising. I'm talking about real-life experiences. If you really come and master your field, the subjects in diesel, hybrid, CNG technology, and all the technology that's out there, with that kind of experience, you can really make a big difference. And there's no shortcut. The only shortcut to it is putting in the time and effort. I don't accept shortcuts. I don't give extra credit, because extra credit is every day. Get in here, put it in your time, is all you're going to do. So you need to get here to pick up this opportunity. And I want to thank you for coming, but most importantly, like you said, I feel bad for them that they spent all that money and all that time to get that American dream. I had the American dream, but I put my 2 years in here, and with that, I was able to, get the opportunities that are out there by going into management, going into training, going into, traveling all over the world, buying, purchasing equipment because of my experience that I had here. So it's very important that you get an education from a good, reliable source. All our instructors here have 20, 30, 40 years of experience, and so what better place to want to get your education from the people that have been out in the industry. So we're not academia, we combine it all. We're combining all that great experience, and I want to encourage you all to continue to come and let your friends know we're here. We're here to support you 110%. Thank you.
And next we have Antoinette Rogers, a former student at the University of Phoenix.
Hello. As stated, I'm from former student of the University of Phoenix. I received a bachelor's degree in human services in 2006. I decided to stay in the school because after you finish, you have to start paying your loans. So I said, well, I can go ahead and finish now and get another degree. But in the meantime, I was working. I worked for the United States Postal Service, and I just retired after 30 years. But that was part of my retirement plan, was to get the education and to start another business after I left the post office. Well, that didn't work out because now I'm being bombarded by phone calls every single day, 2 or 3 times a day. I get monthly bills that I cannot afford. I stayed in school and got another degree, graduated with a master's in education, 2013. The phone calls were still consistent. I tried to do a forbearance, they wouldn't allow it. My credit went down. Basically now I owe $150,000. That's a house. I would never be able to pay this off. My credit is totally ruined. If I didn't have a car or own my own home at this point, I would never be able to get one. So my American dream So once I did retire, I was a little depressed. But my husband told me, well, do something you want to do. I love cooking. I love entertaining. And so I started looking around. And he actually graduated from LACTC. And he's an architect. And he recommended, first when he said it, I was like, I've heard bad things. But it's really not anyone who actually went to the school. And so now that my experience here is so different from being at the University of Phoenix. It was always, when are you going to pay the tuition? When is your loan going to come through? Well, then you got to stop taking classes. At some point, I had to actually come out of my pocket. The classes are like $1,500 a class. There was no way. That was the only way I would be able to finish. To get my master's, I had to pay for the last classes. Because by this time, the loans, I couldn't get any more loans. I couldn't even qualify. And actually, I had to file for bankruptcy in 2015. I'm telling you my whole sad story because I don't want anybody else to have to go through this. I tell all my friends, all my family members, do not go to any of these schools. When I see the commercials, I'm actually standing in front of the TV cussing at the commercials. and because they're so false. They took away my American dream. To have that education, to get the big house, the car, the quality job. And now I just need to have that quality of life that I wanted. And I get kind of emotional sometimes because this school has afforded me that opportunity. The teachers here are so great. I've only been in the culinary department this year. I started in April, but I have learned so much. And the camaraderie that I have with my classmates, I would never get that anywhere else. Because everybody was so picked up, and all they want to do is just hurry up and finish so they can get from underneath that debt. That even the classmates that I did have a bond with, none of us got a job in that field. Not one person in the class, in the other classes that I've been in, not one person got a job. I would say out of 30 people per class, in the 4 years that I was there, no, I took a lie, one person. But she was already a teacher's assistant. But other than that, no one else. And so, coming here, I tell a lot of people about trade tech. Don't listen to the negative, because there's negative and positive about any experience you have. But my experience here so far, and I intend to finish, is very positive. And I encourage everyone to take advantage of all the programs they have here. Right now, with me being here, I decided to get into it where I wanted to be part of the culinary department's club. And as I told you before, that I decided to be part of the club, and I'm the activity director. So if any have any ideas, the door is always open. If you see me walking around campus, or you see anyone with a little patch on, this is our little patch, and just tell us if you want to have some food programs. We really want to be a part of the school. I want to be a part of the school, and even when I go home, I still have to erase all my messages. It still gives me a good feeling that I'm here. And I really appreciate this time. And Ms. Harris, I've never really had this voice other than complaining to my family and friends. But thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. Just wanted to thank all of you that shared such inspirational and passionate stories for the benefit of others that are, in the pipeline and would like to take an opportunity of getting the education. So I'll pass this over back to our Attorney General for some remarks as well.
Well, first of all, can we just applaud this panel? Having the courage to tell the story, because part of what we know about the folks at this panel is proud people, proud of ourselves, right? Proud of what we want, and it's hard to tell a story like the story you've told, because you know it doesn't make you don't like to complain. That's part of the vicious cycle of what happened, right? We're talking about people who don't like to complain. We're talking about people who want to take their future in their own hands and get out there and take it on and do something. And then people take advantage of that. So I just want to thank you guys for your courage. Because just to close up the comments, it's really important, guys, that we tell the stories that we've heard today to our neighbors and our relatives and our friends, those who are interested in getting a higher education. It's really important they know. You know, sometimes it's interesting. We have a society where some people would suggest to you that it ain't worth nothing if you don't spend a lot of money for it. Right? Well, that is not the case when it comes to your education. Particularly when it comes to an education through the California Community College System, Cal State, and UC system. Okay? So let's first of all make everyone clear about that point. And let's also understand that we, each of us, have the power to tell our story and to exercise our voice in many ways. And so I want to encourage everyone to get out there and tell your stories. And let's change the system where we know it needs to be changed. And let's demand that kind of change. Because we know what the change should look like, right? We should be taking a look at accountability and consequence for not only predatory for-profit colleges, but those predatory loan servicers. It's a big part of this. Let's be taking a look at what we need to do to allow refinancing of student loan debt. You know, you can refinance your car loan debt. You can refinance your home loan. Right? Let's see, how about that? Having a system of refinancing. Let's create responsibilities that if a student goes to a for-profit or any other college, that they have a right to an independent counselor who will actually counsel them on what's in their best interest. Right? And then let's just keep talking about what we can do to rededicate ourselves to public higher education and demanding the resources in our community colleges, in our Cal State system, in our UC system, so that we can understand that if our students are graduating with debt, it's not just about them. Here's how I see it. Students graduating with this kind of debt results in a deficit for this country. Their debt is our deficit. That's how I look at it. So let's get out there. Let's know what we can do to not only improve ourselves, but improve our country. That's what this is about. And I thank you all for all of you.
Thank you very much, Attorney General. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the Attorney General for making time to not only hear these stories, but also bring these issues to light. It's not every day that you have someone that has, the power to make these changes for us with our help that comes to trade. But luckily, you're a trade. We've seen the governor here, we've seen the president here, we've seen, hopefully, the next president here. We've seen quite a few people here that want to hear about your stories, want to hear about what are the things that we can do to change the way the system is now. So I just wanted to personally and from on behalf of the college, thank Attorney General Kamala Harris for being here. Thank all the speakers that were part of this roundtable. And we invite all of you to continue to be part of the changes we'd like to see in the process. I'm sure that she'll be needing our help to continue this conversation and move the change. And personally here at LA Trade Tech, we have specific things that are going on that we'll be able to share with you with regard to how you can best take advantage of your financial, literacy and things like that. So thank you very much for coming out. Hope have a good rest of your day.